We have some breaking news from our favorite AI insider spot, and that is The Information. If you haven't subscribed already, this is one of the few places I've subscribed, although my subscription may have lapsed today. So in my screen share, we'll see if I actually have that set to auto renew or not. But the thing that I love about The Information, they give you the insider scoop. And today, the insider scoop is that there is a $20,000, I repeat, $20,000 OpenAI product that is allegedly going to be coming off of the pipe. And the interesting thing about this is that it is in relation to getting a PhD level researcher. You get all of this for $20,000. This is kind of fascinating. Will people pay it? That is the big question. Conor, what are your thoughts on an OpenAI $20,000 a month PhD level reasoning agent?
I think you should get it. Try it out, Jaeden. Tell us what
just
you
for
think
1
of
month,
it.
and then I'll cancel.
Instead of our mortgage for the next few months, well, yeah. So first of all, a big shout out to The Information. I'm with Jaeden. You pay a lot for The Information. It's several $100s a month. You don't have to do it. Don't worry. Like, the news gets picked up by everybody else. But if you're really into AI, they are fantastic. My favorite, Stephanie Palazzolo and also Corey Weinberg, are just absolutely fantastic. I read Stephanie Palazzolo's newsletter, gets to my inbox every day, but I am a subscriber. So huge shout out to The Information. They're absolutely fantastic. And this is where this news is coming from. So let me just actually read the opening of this, because it's not anywhere else right now, but I want to just give people a sense of like what we're looking at. It says OpenAI is betting big on ChatGPT, which is generating at least $4 billion in annualized revenue, but that's not the only application, blah, blah, blah. Then it starts talking about agents. It says the term agents, so reading here, typically refers to AI that can take actions on behalf of customers without needing a lot of direction, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And then it says OpenAI executives have told some investors. So again, this could just be somebody just sort of chatting. This is not exactly breaking news. It's more like this is what's happening behind the scenes. Has told some investors that it planned to sell low-end agents at a cost of $2,000 per month to quote-unquote high-income knowledge workers, mid-tier agents for software development costing potentially $10,000 a month, and high-end agents acting as PhD-level research agents, which could cost $20,000 a month, according to a person who has spoken with executives. And the last thing I'll just say on this is what they say next, which is, in the long run, OpenAI expects 20 to 25% of the company's revenue to come from agent products. Jaeden, to me, the interesting part of all this, right, is this idea that what they expect agents to deliver in terms of value, right? So I think when the $200 a month ChatGPT came out, people are like, that's not worth it, because most of us are using ChatGPT for fairly simplistic use cases, right? So I'm trying to get my head around a $20,000 a month PhD thing. I mean, you're talking about $250,000 a year salary. And if this thing really could do what it says it does, then yes, I don't know those kinds of use cases because I'm not in that world. But even just the way that they're thinking about it is interesting. And Jaeden, the other thing I just want to talk about is practically speaking, what agents look like. I know we keep saying 2025 will be the year of the agents. I don't think so. Maybe I'll be totally wrong. I just think that we can't really trust agents to do work autonomously for us. In fact, I was just talking to a company yesterday about this, talking about like to a big bank actually, and sort of like, because I do strategy with companies, right? Kind of 2-3 year strategies. And my thought on this is that when you're hiring people, you're going to be hiring people who can manage agents, right? Do quality control. It doesn't mean that there's no more roles for humans and things like that. What it does really mean, though, is in the same way, you have a manager managing, interns or lower level people to actually do the work. Managers are going to be more doing quality control, are going to be more checking the work, all that sort of stuff. So yes, agents can be great, but you really have to track them very, very carefully. And agents also have, at least the ones that I've seen, right, by OpenAI, by Anthropic, those are the ones that I've seen and tested out. They do check back in with you. They're like, hey, I've done this. What do you think? I did this. What do you think? And that's exactly how you want to be doing it. So it will save a lot of time. It means that they will be extremely helpful to the level of $20,000 a month. And again, this is not like coming out tomorrow. I have a little bit of a hard time seeing for myself. I'm not trying to sound naive. I just don't see it right now. But what I will say is that if you are all in business, and I'm guessing if you're listening to this, you probably are, the way that you need to be thinking about your strategy is wildly different than you've ever thought about it before. You need to start understanding that the agents are here. It's not that they're going to take jobs away instantly. It's what it's going to do is that it's going to speed up small specialized tasks so much that your people have to be very good managers, very good quality control, very detail oriented. They're going to have to be good with communication. They're going to have to be good at, and when I say communication, I just mean steering the model, prompting it better, all that sort of stuff. So the thing that's exciting to me is that OpenAI is looking at this. The last thing I'll say is that when they say 20 to 25% of their revenue coming from agents, yeah, no kidding, man. Think about these models between OpenAI, Google, Microsoft, Amazon. Rock is a little different. But if you think about this for a second, Jaeden, like, how does OpenAI make money, right? Because the way that Amazon, Google, Microsoft, all these places are all putting out products so that more companies will use them, so that more companies will use their cloud. These are cloud companies. Do you know what I mean? Like, yes, they're technology companies, but they are storage companies. They are searching companies, things like that. OpenAI does not have a cloud business. So what is their model in the long run, assuming that artificial intelligence is plummeting in cost and it's just going to be commoditized? Where's OpenAI's value? Well, if OpenAI can be the go-to solution for enterprise, and this is what I see every day, enterprise does not, what I do is I help change behavior at scale, right? That's what AI Mindset, my company, does. But what enterprise, right, Jaeden, what they want is they want a solution. Give us a product, make it work. That's it. What's your sort of, like, when you see all this, where does your head go?
So the thing that I think is really interesting here is that OpenAI is thinking about different monetization methods. Yesterday, we had a tweet from Sam Altman where he said, an idea for paid plans, your $20 plus subscription converts to credits you can use across features like deep research, O1, GPT 4.5, Sora, etc. No fixed limits per feature, and you choose what you want. If you run out of credits, you can buy more. What do you think? Good, bad? Okay, then everyone was giving him feedback. Top comment was Jimmy Apples that said, another idea, OpenAI staff collect users' blood in vials to be used for the machine god training run. Percentage of blood taken equals percentage of credit given. Okay, so you gotta love, man, you gotta love X.
Jimmy Apples.
You get the most unhinged responses. Okay, but the bigger point here that I do think is very good is OpenAI is looking at how do we work this differently. If, like, they want to give everyone the features, but they are really expensive. And so you see the highest end, they're thinking about, well, $20,000 a month. Who would be willing to pay that? And then on the lower end, it's like, well, I love the deep research and I like the Sora, but like right now, the Sora video model is only available if you pay $200. And like, I literally got the $200 a month subscription, did a couple things with their operator, was like, it's probably not quite there yet. Then tried a couple videos on Sora and was like, it's probably not quite there yet. And then just continued using it normally, and that cost me $200 to do a couple tests. And I was like, I don't know, like, was I salty? Like, whatever. I'm like in the industry, and it's like, I need to be on top of it. So it's not a big deal. But like, I can imagine a lot of people might be salty about paying $200 to test a couple things and then moving on. This concept of credits, where it's like, well, I just need to generate one video for like a project I'm working on. Do I want to pay $200 to generate one video? No, I'll just go use Runway instead, or some other tool. So it's like, I think this is a good idea, the credits concept. But then you see this extrapolated to the enterprise, which is what you're talking about, which is then all of a sudden we get to, well, if a lower end person's willing to pay a little bit extra for credits, maybe a higher end person's willing to pay more. Okay, I want to talk about what's actually happening with like the 20,000 and the 10,000 and the 2,000, the three tiers that have been sort of mentioned. Low end tier agents, $2,000 a month. Like, I personally think I could see a world where I would pay $2,000 a month for what I do. You know, I would hire a virtual assistant to do a bunch of stuff. I hire virtual assistants to do a bunch of stuff for me that I don't want to do. And if these AI agents could get like multiple things done, at $2,000 a month, I think could definitely be worth it. That's 24 grand a year. And maybe that could replace like 3 or 4 virtual assistants for me. Then I'm like, yeah, why not? Right. So yeah, I can see that one being useful. A lot of people I think would use that if it's helping you. This is what what has to happen in order for this to be viable, because all of a sudden we jump up to $10,000 and then $20,000 a month. Software developers for $10,000 a month. I mean, that's $120,000 a year. And I know software developers make a lot of money. Like, I'm working with one right now. He makes $400,000 a year plus stock options and benefits. So like, you can make a lot of money, but $125,000, even for like the high end, or, you know, like you're doing really good. You're working at a FANG company. You're a top software engineer. You're making 400 grand plus. Like, $120,000 is still more than 25% of your income. Like, what is it worth? And so this is what I think it gets down to. This is what has to happen. People have to be 4 times more productive with this tool. So if this agent literally could make you 4 times more productive, you could write 4 times more code. And here's the crazy thing that I know is controversial. Maybe you get 4 jobs. Maybe you literally work 4 jobs and they're happy because you output everything they could ever imagine. And then you could hire this thing to run multiple jobs, and you just go and you debug the code. You make sure everything works. You show up to meetings, you present it, you understand it. Like, if that was a real situation, then sure, maybe you're making 400,000 and now you got like 4 jobs. Now I know like employers and a lot of people listening to this probably makes your ears bleed. You don't want to hear that concept at all. Like completely. I mean, I own a software company. I hire developers. If they're telling me that they have 4 jobs, like I'm sure that would have some negative feelings in my heart. But like, I think that's where it would have to go. Like, I'm trying to understand this. Am I wrong about this, Connor? Is that not like a big chunk of someone's income, $120,000 of a software engineer's income?
So here's what I love about this conversation is that this is, to me, exactly the conversation we should be having because I don't know, right? I think it depends a ton on what these things can do sort of autonomously. I think it depends a lot on how human behavior will change as these tools get better. I think it's very hard to predict, but what I love about these conversations, and this is why I always look forward to talking with you about this stuff, because you have a really cool perspective kind of being an entrepreneur and being, having a software company and AI bots and everything else, is that we don't know, but we have to try to start to predict this stuff. Because in the end, it is going to change work radically. So how? So we need to think about it in terms of, everybody needs to be thinking about it in terms of their own company and their own industry. Like, let's say you have this software, like, let's map out what you think is going to happen. Or if you think about, okay, what does this mean for the worker, like the American worker or the Canadian worker or the international or the European worker, whatever it is, like,
the Canadian worker, what does it mean for the Canadian worker? I appreciate that, Connor.
Look, I reach out to all my brothers. But here's the thing, we don't know what this is actually going to do. I think that the way you're talking about it in terms of, especially in software and things like that, having people just taking on different jobs and having their own maybe personal agent that can, maybe they pay $20,000 a month and then they know that they can run all these jobs and they can make $1 million a year or something like that, right? So I think it's going to be in the hands of the great entrepreneurs and thought leaders on this, but I also think it's going to be in the hands of people like the Jaeden Schafers of the world who are just hack masters. I mean, again, how Jaeden runs his companies and why he has 5 million downloads on his podcast is not because he has the sultry, smooth tones. I mean, his wife would probably disagree with me, but it's not because Jaeden is the biggest genius in the world, although I think he's an amazingly bright guy. But you have just you figure out how to crack systems. That's your gift, I think. And this is why, by the way, you should get Jaden's podcast course. It's phenomenal. But this is the thing, Jaeden. I think that people are going to have to figure this out. Anyway, we're coming to the end. I want to give you the last word on this because I love this conversation.
Yeah, no, I think overall, we'll see $20,000 a month PhD level agents. We'll see maybe $100,000 a month. And that's probably not an individual user using it. I would assume you'll see corporations paying big licenses for tools that can do a lot and can replace people. If an agent could actually replace a software engineer, and maybe we shift the way we do it. You talked about, how you talk to banks and how they need to be able to manage agents. Maybe it's not, I have 4 jobs, because maybe I'm thinking more like as a freelancer using it. Maybe it's like internally at a company, I'm a manager and I manage 7 of these agents, $10,000 a month for them. That's $100,000, but I got 7 of them. And in the past, it's, 4 times as much for a person. So I think there's a lot of different ways to think about this. Or maybe you want to start a brand new company. You need all of these developers. And the nice thing about these AI agents, the $10,000 ones, is if you think about them like, okay, so here's a concept, just from an entrepreneur side, right? Like I have a software company. This last summer, we're getting ready, which by the way, AI Box is launching their beta on March 10th. So depending on when you listen to this, check out the link in the description. Our playground's going to be live. I'm so excited. We're finally accepting credit cards, making accounts. People can use the software. It's been 2 years in the making. So I'll contain my excitement. But here's what I think is really interesting. You could imagine from an entrepreneur perspective, when we were scaling up, we had to get a ton of development done. We hired 5 different developers simultaneously, just blasting to get all this stuff done. But the problem is, once we got a big chunk of what we needed done, we didn't need all 5 of them anymore. And so then, you got to be like, oh, sorry, you got to lay people off. And that kind of sucks. With the ups and downs of a software company or any sort of business and the economy, it's sometimes a little tricky to fluctuate. If you have an AI agent that is replacing a software engineer theoretically, or doing the work, or being managed by one, or multiple being managed by one, you could say, well, look, our investors want us to get this big push done for the specific date. Okay, let's fire up 10 more of these things. We have the roadmap mapped out. We know what everybody needs to be doing, what everyone needs to be working on. Fire up 10 more of them. And instead of taking 6 months to develop this new feature or this new tool, let's develop the whole thing in 6 days, because we can just ramp up. Now, I know this probably sounds like a pipe dream and it's sort of far-fetched and blah, 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 whatever. I get everyone's criticism listening to this, but this will happen. It will get good enough. It will get commoditized enough at some point in the future. The speed and the time will not matter because you'll just get more and you'll just dump all your resources in now. And if the output is just as good, there's no reason why it should take you a month or 10 months or 2 years. Like it took me 2 years to develop AI box by hand. I'll be laughing about that in the future when AI can do it all because we had to do this with manual humans. So anyways, I know we're running out of time on this. One last thing I'll say is if you have not already, you absolutely have to get Conor's AI mindset course. It will change the way you use AI tools. Absolutely incredible. The link is in the description. Thanks so much for tuning in. Drop us a review. We love you all and have a fantastic rest of your day.